I just think LeBron the greatest. He did everything.
I think you delusional.
For me.
At this point, we gotta compare Jordan to like Messi or like Serena Williams.
The debate between Michael Jordan and LeBron James has been heating up for years, but when cultural icons like Fat Joe and Jedakus jump into the conversation, it hits a whole new level. The recent episode featuring Jeff Teague has created a ripple effect across the basketball world. What started as a friendly comparison quickly escalated into a passionate argument when Jeff declared LeBron the greatest of all time. Fat Joe, without holding back, called out what he believes is a delusion shared by many in today's NBA generation. This episode dives deeper than stats and accolades. It tackles legacy, cultural impact, competitive spirit, and the truth behind what separates good from great and great from legendary. Throughout this video, we are going to break down what was said, who said it, and more importantly, what it actually means. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss another explosive debate from NBA Showdown, from celebrity opinions to former player insights. This video is about understanding why Jordan's name still stands firm at the top of the mountain. Fat Joe does not hold back, and neither will we. Let's get into it. When Jedakus said that Michael Jordan is the greatest and left the rest open to debate, it was a subtle but powerful message. This was not just about ranking players, it was about setting a boundary that only a few can even dream of approaching. His tone conveyed certainty, almost as if Jordan's spot at the top is not even worth discussing anymore. By suggesting that Kobe and LeBron can be debated for the second spot, Jedakus essentially removed Michael Jordan from the conversation altogether. This is where the weight of Jordan's legacy becomes undeniable. His dominance, perfection in the finals, and relentless mentality have made him an icon in ways that transcend basketball. Jedakus, a respected figure in the hip-hop community, reflects a broader cultural truth that many still stand by. While LeBron's longevity is impressive, it does not automatically place him above someone who defined an era and redefined what greatness meant. The way Jedakus casually places Jordan at the top shows how deeply embedded that perception is in the minds of those who watched Jordan play in his prime. It is not about emotion, it is about impact. The ripple effect Jordan had on the game, the style, the competitive nature, and the mental toughness is unmatched. His presence was like mythology turned real. On the other hand, LeBron's career feels more like a case study in statistical consistency and adaptability. While admirable, it lacks the sharp, final statement that Jordan's career delivered. 6 titles with no finals losses, and a legacy that made every competitor fear and respect him. Jedakus's take reinforces that some players might reach for the crown, but they are still living in Jordan's kingdom. It sets the tone for the rest of the conversation, placing Jordan in a league of his own and everyone else just fighting for the second best title.
I think MJ's the greatest, then everything after that, however you want to put it.
When Jeff Teague confidently stated that LeBron is the greatest, it was met with instant pushback from Fat Joe, who did not sugarcoat his response. Fat Joe's reaction, calling Jeff delusional, highlights a growing divide between generations of fans and players. Jeff Teague represents a younger crowd that sees LeBron's career as the gold standard because they grew up watching his rise. But Fat Joe's blunt dismissal wasn't just emotional, it was based on principles that older fans hold tightly. Longevity and all-around skill do matter, but so does dominance, killer instinct, and a refusal to ever lose when it matters most. Fat Joe sees LeBron's resume and still finds it lacking compared to Jordan's. Why? Because for him, greatness is not just built on numbers, it is about moments that define an era. Jordan had those moments every single time he stepped onto the court. LeBron's career has had peaks but also valleys. Jordan's path was like a clean arc of domination, while LeBron's is filled with turbulence. When Fat Joe calls out the delusion, he is calling out a mindset that equates longevity with supremacy, ignoring the final results that matter most in competitive sports. 6 for 6 in the finals, never needing a Game 7, and always the best player on the floor. Fat Joe is not just protecting Jordan's legacy, he is exposing what he sees as a blind loyalty to modern narratives that distort what real greatness is. This clash between Teague and Joe is not just about two players. It is about two philosophies. One values evolution and adaptability, the other demands absolute dominance and a flawless record. Fat Joe's voice represents those who watched Jordan and knew they were witnessing history in real time, something that numbers cannot always explain. That emotional and psychological imprint Jordan left is exactly why Fat Joe refuses to put LeBron above him.
I just think LeBron the greatest. He did everything.
I think you delusional.
Fat Joe's frustration reaches its peak when he talks about the overwhelming delusions surrounding the LeBron GOAT argument. His voice carries the weight of someone who feels that the media, fans, and even analysts have created an echo chamber where LeBron is praised regardless of context or outcome. Fat Joe argues that this mindset is dangerous because it warps reality. He acknowledges LeBron's greatness, but believes the conversation has shifted from appreciation to exaggeration. Jordan's name is slowly being erased or questioned by people who never witnessed his reign, and Fat Joe refuses to let that slide. He believes in clarity, and for him the truth is simple. Michael Jordan accomplished more, faced harder challenges, and never flinched when the moment called. Fat Joe believes that this mass delusion has become a trend, almost a social expectation, to crown LeBron because he is still active. But he reminds everyone that popularity and relevancy do not equal greatness. He calls for more critical thinking, asking fans to step back and really assess what made Jordan the global icon he is today. It is not about nostalgia. It is about a standard that is yet to be matched. Fat Joe's disappointment is not just with the opinion itself, but with the fact that so many hold it without understanding what came before. This is not just basketball. It is about history, legacy, and respect for the foundations of the game. Jordan built the league into what it is today. Fat Joe sees this blind praise as a form of disrespect, not just to Jordan, but to the game itself. He is not trying to tear LeBron down, but he is passionately defending a truth he believes is being rewritten unfairly. His words are a call to remember, to compare with context, and to not fall into a culture that rewards popularity over performance.
It's too much delusion. Yo, we can't have top tier people being delusional.
Nah,
We already got everybody delusional out here.
When Fat Joe said that Michael Jordan should not be compared to anyone in the NBA but rather to icons like Messi or Serena Williams, it was a statement filled with reverence and intention. In that moment, Fat Joe was elevating Jordan beyond the basketball court and placing him in a global pantheon of sports greatness. This was not about stats or accolades anymore. It was about cultural significance, lasting impact, and unmatched excellence. By suggesting such comparisons, Fat Joe is emphasizing that Jordan is not only the greatest basketball player, but also one of the most influential athletes in history. He did not just win games, he changed the world of sports. He inspired generations, created a brand that transcends sports, and built a legacy that will stand forever. This comparison pushes the boundaries of the GOAT conversation and makes it clear that Jordan's legacy cannot be fully understood just by comparing him to other basketball players. He belongs in the company of those who not only dominated, but also shifted the entire direction of their sports. Fat Joe is saying that to compare LeBron to Jordan is to misunderstand Jordan's reach. Jordan's cultural influence, business empire, and continued relevance make him more than just a former athlete. He is a symbol of perfection, of greatness achieved and maintained. LeBron, while legendary in his own right, has not yet crossed into that rare air where his influence echoes beyond the basketball world in the same timeless way. Fat Joe sees Jordan's image as eternal, something even time cannot fade. That is the gap he is highlighting. Not just between two players, but between a legacy and an ongoing career. And in Fat Joe's mind, that gap is not closing anytime soon.
For me,
At this point, we gotta compare Jordan to like Messi or like Serena Williams.
One of the boldest claims made by Fat Joe in this discussion was his belief that LeBron James is not even better than Stephen Curry. This wasn't just a hot take, it was a declaration rooted in how Joe interprets greatness and what truly shifts the sport forward. Fat Joe's statement hinges on the idea that Curry, like Jordan before him, revolutionized the game. Curry changed the way basketball is played, inspired a new generation, and won titles while remaining loyal to his team's core. Fat Joe views Curry's impact as organic and lasting. LeBron, on the other hand, is seen by Joe as someone who chased greatness by forming super teams and switching franchises. That contrast matters deeply in this debate. Fat Joe respects dominance that forces others to rise, not a player who seeks easier paths to success. He questions whether LeBron has ever been as feared as Curry is when he crosses half court or Jordan was when a game was on the line. Steph, despite his smaller frame, has become one of the most unstoppable forces in basketball history. Joe uses that context to make his controversial point. He is not denying LeBron's physical gifts or basketball intelligence. What he is arguing is that Steph's influence is more authentic and disruptive to the game's natural order, similar to what Jordan did decades earlier. This comparison upends the typical LeBron versus Jordan narrative by bringing in a third name that challenges both from a different angle. Joe believes that if people really watched the game rather than just reading numbers, they'd see how Curry's legacy is just as relevant, if not more, than LeBron's in today's league. This sentiment may not sit well with fans loyal to LeBron, but it speaks volumes about how players are judged by more than their stats. Joe is saying that when you talk about the greatest, it is not just about how much you won. It is about how much you changed the game. And in his eyes, Curry and Jordan did that. LeBron, despite his greatness, did not. That, to Joe, is the true difference.
No, but think about it. Bron been the man he been the greatest player since he was 16.
One major argument Fat Joe keeps circling back to is that LeBron lacks the same cutthroat mentality that defined Michael Jordan. This goes beyond basketball. It touches on legacy, psychological dominance, and how competitors remember the game. Fat Joe sees Jordan as the ultimate assassin, a player who not only wanted to win, but needed to destroy the opposition. Jordan's approach was built on obsession. He was never content with being great. He had to be untouchable. Every possession, every series, every season was treated like a war, and he made sure to leave no survivors. That ruthlessness was not an image crafted by media. It was something seen in every moment of his career. Whether it was the flu game or the way he humiliated his rivals, Jordan's legacy was forged in the fire of competition. Fat Joe highlights this because he believes that greatness is not just about how much you win, it is about how badly you want it. LeBron, despite his longevity and impressive resume, never had that same killer instinct. He passes out of game-winning shots, he joins other stars instead of beating them, he is more about team harmony than domination. While that makes LeBron more relatable or admirable in some ways, it also makes him less feared. Jordan was a nightmare for opponents. LeBron is respected but rarely dreaded in the same way. Fat Joe sees this as the defining flaw in LeBron's GOAT case. It is not just about rings or MVPs, it is about the aura you carry. Jordan's presence crushed the will of the other team before the game even started. LeBron has had to prove himself over and over again. Fat Joe is not dismissing LeBron's brilliance. He is arguing that Jordan had something no one, not even LeBron, has ever replicated. A relentless fire to be the best at all costs. That hunger made Jordan mythical. That hunger is why Fat Joe believes LeBron, no matter how much he achieves, can never enter Jordan's stratosphere. Jordan's ruthlessness carved a path so steep, most are afraid to even try climbing it.
I love LeBron James. I do believe he deserves all the glory. He is not Michael Jordan.
Fat Joe shifts the debate from stats and rings to cultural relevance, and here, Jordan wins by a landslide. According to Joe, Jordan isn't just the greatest basketball player, he is a global icon whose influence spans fashion, business, and identity. That kind of reach is rare and irreplaceable. From the moment Jordan laced up his Air Jordans, he was more than a player, he was a symbol. His presence turned basketball into a global spectacle. And decades later, the Jordan brand still dominates, still sells out, and still holds the crown in cultural status. Fat Joe believes this influence is a major reason Jordan's legacy remains untouched. LeBron has built a powerful brand, no doubt, but it exists in a space already built by Jordan. Everything LeBron accomplishes is in Jordan's shadow. From shoe deals to documentaries to owning a franchise, Jordan was the blueprint. Joe sees LeBron more as a successful follower than a pioneering leader. That distinction matters when discussing who truly shaped the future. Jordan didn't just dominate his era, he created a model that athletes from all sports now follow. His business acumen, media image, and mystique are still unmatched. Fat Joe points out that Jordan didn't need social media to become larger than life. LeBron lives in a hyper-connected world, yet still doesn't evoke this same universal awe. Joe respects LeBron's activism and leadership off the court, but when it comes to lasting cultural impact, he says Jordan still owns the crown. The Air Jordan logo remains more iconic than LeBron's entire brand. That cultural permanence is what separates legends from immortals. Fat Joe is reminding everyone that GOAT status is not only about who played better, but who became something more. Jordan did. His legacy is woven into the DNA of the sport and modern culture itself. That kind of reach is generational. It is immortal. Fat Joe argues that LeBron, despite his incredible legacy, has not and likely will not ever create the same level of mythology. And for Fat Joe, that is what keeps Jordan seated firmly on the throne, unchallenged and unmatched.
If LeBron is better than Steph Curry, we don't know that.
After everything said by Fat Joe, Jedakus, and others during this explosive exchange, one truth stands out. Michael Jordan remains the ultimate measuring stick for greatness in basketball. This is not about hating on LeBron or minimizing his accomplishments. It is about understanding the full picture of what greatness looks like. Fat Joe did not just critique LeBron, he defended a legacy that he believes is being distorted by modern narratives and social media trends. From questioning the delusion surrounding LeBron's GOAT case, to elevating Curry above him and placing Jordan in a global league of legends, Fat Joe made it clear. Jordan's dominance is not just remembered, it is still relevant. LeBron's achievements are enormous, but Fat Joe argues they were crafted in an era where control over narratives is easier. Jordan let his game speak, and what it said still echoes louder than anything that has come since. Joe reminded everyone that Jordan did not have to build super teams or change jerseys multiple times to win. He did it in one city, with one team, and never left a finals without a ring. In today's age of constant comparison, Fat Joe demanded perspective. He made us look beyond numbers, beyond fandom, and focus on what truly defines greatness. Fear, respect, impact, and legacy. Whether it's how Jordan transformed Nike, how he made the NBA a global product, or how he inspired athletes across all sports, there's one thing that stands above all. Jordan's name still commands the same respect today that it did decades ago. That's legacy. And Fat Joe is right. No matter how many points LeBron scores, no matter how long he plays, there will always be a shadow he cannot outgrow. Because Michael Jordan is not just a legend, he is the standard. And for NBA Showdown, that conversation is far from over.